Alright, good evening everyone. Welcome back to Compound Interesting. This is Emil and in today's video is a value packed video. So I think this will be one of my best videos that I've ever released. One of the most useful videos to use, so I really hope you enjoy it. If you wouldn't mind just smashing the thumbs up button before we get started, really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if at any point you think one of your friends or your mother or your father or your dog might enjoy this video, please send it to them because apparently that's really good for the YouTube algorithm. So in today's video, we're going to try and find how you personally can find your next 100 bagger, so your next 100x stock. So you only need to find one 100x stock in your entire life. If you put $10,000 into that, or 10,000 euros, and that 100x's, you're a millionaire and you could probably retire if you wanted to. So in today's video, we're going to analyze some companies and some stocks that have 100x in the past, and we're gonna see what are the commonalities across those stocks and what makes them 100 baggers or what made them 100 baggers. And then I'm gonna share with you some of my potential 100 baggers throughout at the end of the video. So personally, I haven't found any 100 baggers yet, but that's because I've only been in the stock market a few years, and I found a couple of 10 baggers, so I've made 10 times my money in a couple of stocks, and I think those stocks will eventually turn out to be 100 baggers for me in the future. So those two stocks and then the rest of the stocks we'll look at. So the two 10 baggers that I've got are Tesla and Shopify. So they've already done me 10x since I started investing into those two companies. And I think Tesla definitely has a large opportunity to 10x again, and Shopify probably a little bit less likely, but definitely possible as well because they're going after such enormous markets. But another couple of stocks that we're going to analyze in this video that have 100x'd in the past or more. So since 1997, like just over 20 years ago, Amazon has 1000x'd. So you didn't even need to buy it at the IPO. You could have waited a couple of years and then realized the potential that Amazon had at that time, and then got a 100 bagger. Similarly with Apple, that's also 1000x'd, as we can see. Again, you could have invested in it 30 years after it IPO'd and still made 100x on your money. Another company that's 100x, Tesla, big boy Tesla, has 100x since its IPO, and I think it's definitely has room to 10x again at least. So it IPO'd at $4 or thereabouts, split adjusted, and now it's $490 as of today. Alright, so what's the first common trait that all these companies had to make them 100 baggers or even 1000 baggers? Not the most important thing, but definitely one of the most important things is, of course, the CEO. You need a visionary CEO. And usually it helps if the CEO is also the founder. So as you can see in all those companies, the CEO was also the founder, because the founder has the vision from the very start and can bring it all the way to end game. Now I read in Thinking Fast and Slow. Now I read in this book right here, one of my favorite books, links in the description for all these great books. But yeah, this is a real amazing psychology book and really useful for investing. But in this book, they explain how a CEO doesn't really matter to a company, and they gave the example of Jack Welch, who was such a hyped up CEO at General Electric, but he wasn't actually that good when you ran the numbers for the company and how much profits and extra growth and everything that they made. But he was a very charismatic guy and people thought he was an amazing CEO. However, I think that's complete BS, to be honest. I think CEO is extraordinarily important, and they're using statistical analysis of CEOs, like averaged out over companies, and seeing if the CEO actually makes a difference or not. But in all of these companies that I mentioned, all of them had amazing CEOs, extremely visionary and one of a kind. For example, so who are they? Apple had Steve Jobs, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and Tesla obviously has Elon Musk. And to say that these CEOs had nothing to do with the success of their companies is total horse crap in my opinion. Another interesting commonality between a few of the most amazing CEOs at the moment is that a lot of them have been CEOs or founded multiple multi-billion dollar companies. So Elon Musk, of course, was one of the founders of PayPal. Then he went to SpaceX, then he went to Tesla, and then he has now the Boring Company and Neuralink as well. So obviously the pick of the bunch, like the best CEO in the world, probably hands down. Another CEO who's founded multiple successful companies, Jack Dorsey, founded Twitter or co-founded Twitter. Then he was fired from Twitter and started Square, which ended up being, now it's worth like triple what Twitter is worth. And then was asked to come back to Twitter, and now he's running both companies. So able to be CEOs of multiple companies successfully at the same time. Another kind of common trait. Likewise with Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, moved to being CEO of Pixar, grew that enormously, and then was asked back to Apple, because both times when both Dorsey and Steve Jobs were fired, the companies suffered until they came back. Another commonality between these CEOs is they don't really care, because they're founder CEOs. They're not politically correct, or they're not trying to please everyone. They're sometimes a bit controversial, and they're just doing what they think is best for the company, and they don't care if some people hate them and some people love them. So that's a kind of another commonality that I'm seeing in some of these amazing, extraordinarily growth companies. All right, so the next point that's really, really important, absolutely extraordinarily important, and somewhat underlooked in my opinion, is the total addressable market. So this is extremely important when you're looking at a company if you want to get 100 bagger. So it doesn't really matter how good your CEO is or how good your product is if the customers aren't there. If there's a ceiling to the amount of growth that you can generate, then that's obviously a disadvantage. So you want something that can grow indefinitely, or can be used by a large proportion of the entire world's population, or by a large number of businesses. So all of these had good examples of enormous total addressable markets, and most of them were actually replacing old industries that were already there, completely disrupting them and wiping them out and starting afresh. E.g. Amazon replacing the entire retail industry in the entire world. Tesla is obviously replacing the ICE vehicle, the internal combustion engine vehicles, with electric cars. And then Apple made an entire category of their own in the smartphone. Basically, they completely revolutionized the smartphone. And also Square is kind of trying to disrupt banking, so that's an enormous, huge total addressable market as well, so keep that in mind. However, I think Square, I wouldn't say it's a 100 bagger, but I think it definitely still, over the course of his lifetime, could definitely get another 10 bagger out of it, or maybe even a bit more. It's about 100 billion right now. All right, the third thing you should be watching out for in companies that you think, or you're hoping to 100x your money in, is they either have to have a really huge moat, hopefully a huge moat, so no one can really copy their business model easily, or else they have to have a crazy pace of innovation, or both. So Amazon obviously have their, well, not obviously, but their biggest moat is their fulfillment network, actually, because that costs billions and billions of dollars to build out. So anyone who's trying to compete with Amazon would have to spend an enormous amount of money to maybe be able to compete. Like, there's no guarantee that they'll be able to compete with Amazon if they're trying to just do the same kind of business model. So Amazon have an amazing fulfillment network with crazy robots that just do everything unbelievably. I'll link a video I watched about that up there. It's pretty cool. But yeah, a crazy fulfillment network, and now Shopify is actually trying to compete with the fulfillment network, and we'll see how they get on, but that's Amazon's moat. So Tesla's moat is actually their pace of innovation and the quality of the engineers that they have working at their company, because all the best engineers are working at Tesla in the world. Well, they're actually working at SpaceX #1 and Tesla #2. All the best engineers coming from the best universities, the smartest guys. That's the companies that they want to work in. So Tesla's moat is their crazy pace of innovation, because if someone copies them, by the time they've managed to copy them, it'll take probably 2 years. And by that time, Tesla's already released something that's even better again. So it's just extremely hard to copy them. And Tesla completely open sourced all their patents. Tesla doesn't have any patents. They have it all up on their website. So any electric car company can come in and copy Tesla's designs. But by the time they build the machine that makes the machine, so by the time they build a factory of the machines that can make those batteries or whatever's going into that electric car, Tesla will already be on to the next thing. So that's their big moat. So Apple's moat is actually their brand. Apple have the best brand in the entire world, according to a lot of people. So they have a very cult-like following. People who love iPhones get them every single year. So, and people who love MacBooks likewise. So that's kind of the next point as well. The next point that you should look out for, but might not be present in every single one of these 100 baggers, is a great brand. and a cult-like following. So obviously Apple and Tesla both have amazing brands with cult-like followings. Amazon they don't really have such a brand per se, but they just deliver on amazing customer experience and customer service. So that's why people love going back to Amazon again and again to buy everything that they need. All right, so before we get on to the final point, I just ask that you smash the thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that big red juicy button right there. Click the notification bell so you never miss a video, because I'm a really small channel. It probably won't appear in your recommended unless you hit that notification bell right there. And I'm also going to give you some of my 100 bagger picks, but no guarantees with them. I have my fingers dipped in a few pies and we'll see if any of them pay out in the long run. But I have a few that I think have 100 bagger potential, but I'm always keeping my eyes out for 100 baggers. All right, so the last point about all these 100 bagger companies is that none of them are focused on profits. They're all focused on products, and they're all focused on customer experience. They don't care about their shareholders. Well, they do care about their shareholders, but that's not their main focus. They're not trying to pay dividends. They're not trying to reward shareholders with buybacks or fancy accounting mechanics to make everything look better. What they're looking at doing is reinvesting all their profits to grow their business and deliver better customer services like Amazon, or better products, and just completely annihilate their competition by blowing away their customers. All of these companies, before they were 100 bagger companies, all of them were focused on growth. You're never going to get a 100 bagger focusing on dividend value companies. I'm sorry, but I really don't think you will. The best companies, the most likely companies to get 100 baggers are high growth companies, in my opinion. So all those companies, before they became 100 baggers, were high growth companies. So that's another commonality. So what are some companies that I think have 100 bagger potential that I've talked about before? I'll link some videos of mine discussing these companies. So some companies I think have 100 bagger potential, amazing, all have huge total addressable markets. But first we'll start off with the 10 baggers that have already done me quite well, but hopefully will turn into 100 baggers. So Tesla and Square and Shopify all have amazing CEOs and enormous total addressable markets. And some companies with 100 bagger potentials, so these have to be, realistically, these have to be sub $10 billion in market cap, or even less, like maybe $2 or $3 billion in market cap. But to realistically to get to a 100 bagger, unless it's going to become trillions in market cap. But some of the companies that I've been looking at that have 100 bagger potential is Upwork, CRISPR, and Virgin Galactic. But the company I think has the best chance of being a 100 bagger is not actually a stock, it's a cryptocurrency, and it's Chainlink. So I'll link a video that explains all about Chainlink. But I'm not sure why stock market investors are so afraid of investing in cryptocurrencies. Personally, I think this is the best, well, not the best, but one of the best places to find 100 baggers at the moment right now. But Chainlink is going to help replace the legal industry with smart contracts. If you want me to release, I probably will eventually release an in-depth video on Chainlink, even though it probably won't get as many views or whatever, because stock market videos get much more views on YouTube than cryptocurrency videos at the moment. But I think that would provide a lot of value for you. So if you want me to release that video, if you want me to explain how Chainlink works and how it's going to replace the legal system in the future, let me know in the comments. But I'll also leave in the description a video that explains Chainlink really, really well from the CEO himself. And it's really, really interesting if you're at all nerdy like myself. But anyway, I really, really hope you got some value out of this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you get yourself a feckin' 100 or 1000 bagger in your life, because I want you all to change your lives for the better. Sooner rather than later, let's get on that growth train. All right, so thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Goodbye.